about 4 points behind fourth, or 2 points behind fourth.
It's fantastic. Five in a row,
including the cup win over City.
No, it's great form. Are they going to keep it up? I don't know. I hope not, because it'll annoy Chapman, and I don't particularly like Newcastle, but you've got to hand it to him. I mean, I don't like Pardew, I never have, but everything was against him. You know, the fans were lined up against him, and he's turned it around fantastically in over the last few weeks. So we'll wait and see.
I think it shows you legitimately what kind of determination and hard work will get you. I don't think in any way that, I've said it from the start, I've never been a fan of Alan Pardew. Don't think he was a good manager at Charlton. I don't think he was a good manager at West Ham. Don't think he's a good manager at Newcastle. I think this win just is going to elongate his time there, which if I was a Newcastle fan I'd be upset with. You never want your team to lose, but at the same time, if you know the manager just isn't good enough and he's taking you backwards in terms of style of play, and if it was me, again, as I say, you don't want your team to lose. But, you know, you're looking at it long term. Alan Pardew is not going to get the team to where... You know, I think it was you, Sermanni. Sorry, you want to make a point?
No, but what are they expecting? What are Newcastle fans expecting?
I was just about to say, I mean, you were making the point about... I think it was Martin Friel as well was making the point about expectancy. You know, they were in the Champions League a decade ago. They got to the quarterfinals. Remember that Greg Bellamy team? And I'm not saying they should expect the Champions League, but looking at the league just now, you've got Chelsea in the top, Southampton, Man City, West Ham. You're expecting that to be Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, Manchester United, you know, Liverpool, the top 4 or 5. After that, Newcastle should be at least challenging for a Europa League place, I think. In terms, I mean, if you look at how big a club are, etc., that's, you know, stupid, right? But the only team in the city, you know what I mean? If I was a Newcastle fan, I would legitimately expect them to finish the season 6th or 7th. Europa League, maybe win a cup. I mean, they've not won anything since what, the 60s. Chapman was saying. You know, they've been in a few cup finals, and it's a hard
Europa
one.
League, they would just treat it with the disdain that most English clubs treat it.
And that's down to the manager. That's down to the. If you look at the way Martinez and Pochettino have been treating the Europa League this season, they've been putting out full teams.
Well, Martinez has said he's basically using it as a learning curve as well, as much as he wants to win it, but he's anticipating his team getting the Champions League, so he wants European
kind of
experience.
like what happened under Lennon when Celtic got to Europa League.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the whole disregarding of the Europa League by the English clubs, I'm not saying that they should. It is a bit of a joke, the Europa League, because there's 32 teams in groups. If it was just I know we hark on about this, but bring back the UEFA Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup.
There should be another tournament, Cup Winners' Cup.
Either way, I think it's still a disgrace the way English teams can treat the Europa League. There are 5 teams, maybe Chelsea, Man City now, Man U, Liverpool, Arsenal, who would expect the Champions League football. Every other team in that league, every one of them, Champions League would be an exceptional season for them. Europa League is something that they should take on and they should be very happy to be in. And very few teams treat it that way.
I don't know what the teams are expecting. Back to your expectancy level from an English point of view, what do you want? You get to a really high position and then you get into the Europa League and then you're playing in European football. Right? Do you expect as soon as you're in the Europa League it's a stepping stone to the Champions League? I mean, so a team like Southampton, right, are currently second. They're 4 points off Chelsea. They're 4 points ahead of Man City. Southampton are, you know, there's a chance they might finish 5th, right, which is the Champions League qualifiers. They won't. Oh, sorry, that's Europa League, isn't it? They won't probably finish 5th because Liverpool and Man United might get hopefully, I don't care either way, but they probably all get their act together, so they might be squeezed into the Europa League. Now when they're in Europa League next season is a whole new start, so they might not be in Europe next season. I see guys like Harry Redknapp turn around and saying Europa League was just an inconvenience. it's a tournament you could win for the amount of money you've
Ronald
put into it.
Koeman wouldn't have that attitude. Like, it's similar
He
to
probably
Gino
wouldn't, and that was my point about foreign managers.
The problem is, well, one, UEFA have completely devalued the tournament by, making the Champions League so cash rich. The Europa League's kind of the poor relative. They've devalued it for a start. Second of all, I think I'd spoke about this in the podcast the other week. Noel Gallagher was talking about. Shut up. He was talking about there's no interest in Champions League football at Man City. Now, I was astounded when I read that, but I do think that there's a focus, an inward focus on the Premiership amongst a lot of English fans.
You sure that's just not maybe little sour grapes from the City fans who
to get pumped in the Champions League?
Consistently. Celtic would beat Man City if we got them in the Champions League, not a problem. Home and away.
But, well, perhaps, but I do think that the Premiership is viewed upon with more importance amongst a lot of English fans than Champions League is. I do think that.
I agree with you, and I do think it's just down to money. I think you'll make more money finishing 6th than you probably will winning the Europa League.
Probably.
I having said that, you're right, UEFA have completely devalued the tournament. I mean, we're Celtic right now and Everton and all the kind of English team, British teams, and they're trying to qualify for the last 32. It's not the last 16. Yeah. It's the last 32. Now that means there's 64 odd teams in it just now. I mean,
is it 16 go through and then 16?
That's
24
right.
Go through and then the 8 third place teams.
But see, if you look at it, even the Champions League as well. If you actually look at the groups, there's so fucking many of them. The Champions League, I've lost interest in the Champions League, right? Because it's the same shit year in, year out.
Yeah.
God, how many times have Dortmund and Arsenal been in the same group? How many times have Man City and Bayern Munich been in the same group? It's dull. It's uninteresting.
It's deja vu. You're seeing the same fixtures. Even when we've qualified, the amount of times we've played Benfica,
Barcelona.
We've played Milan, Barcelona, Shakhtar Donetsk,
Bayern as well with them twice.
No, we didn't.
No, sorry, Bayern we only had one. Sorry, yeah. Right.
But exactly. I mean, it's almost like, as I say, deja vu. Playing other teams is, it's part of the excitement.
Yeah.
But there's only so many times you can tune into the Champions League and see the same fixtures that you've seen the season before and not be like, fuck this.
Oh, Man City lost away in Bayern again. Who cares?
Right.
I mean, see, the thing is, it's becoming a league now. I mean, that's ultimately that's their goal, to have a European Super League, and that's what it's becoming. And it's going to get to the point after about 4 or 5 years, they're going to turn around and say, "Look, these are the same fixtures. Here's your league."
Have they not changed the qualifiers? Or they're going to be changing it so that league winners go into one of the groups? Or so?
They're trying to make it the top 8. The top 8 seeds in the Champions League were the league winners of the top 8 leagues, and so that teams like Manchester City would always be in Group 1, regardless of their overall seeding. That's what they were talking about doing. I don't know.
I don't know if that's been done, but I just find the kind of disrespect to European football in terms of competition, especially from the English kind of. It just devalues the whole thing, and it's a shame because ultimately. You used to live for European football. I don't understand how any club football fan who doesn't want to play in Europe, who doesn't want their team an away fixture away. Obviously Celtic to do with that game during the week, and that was really, really frustrating. But we've been tremendous away from home in Europe. We've been better away from home than we have been at home. But there's a sense of adventure going away. But maybe that's just us. I don't know. Maybe we are. But then again, we're spoiled because we're in Europe every year. That's why when I think of teams like Tottenham and fucking Everton and all these teams, that's why they should be taken seriously, because you're not going to be in Europe every year.
I think there's teams where teams that have a history of it enjoy it, and they look like Everton. They know what it's like. They'll hark back to 85 when that whole Rapid Vienna thing. And Celtic, you look forward to Europe, but you've got like Harry Redknapp, who's just completely in these wee diddy English clubs who should be. That's basically more or less all they're ever going to achieve, and they just don't care. They'd rather finish in a position that gets them more money in the league than actually try to achieve something in Europe. You should just ban English clubs again. Football's better without them.
And I think on that note, we will finish up unless you gentlemen have any other chat that you want to share with us.
Nothing. No more chat about Taylor
random
Swift.
pop star quotes or anything.
No.
Mr.
Did you watch
Gallagher?
the EMAs last night? Anybody?
No, we're not talking about that. I'm cutting that off right now.
Why you cut off? It was a momentous day for the city of Glasgow to be hosting the European Music Awards.
700 million people tuned in apparently about.
So
I think you're treating that like the Europa.
700 million? No, he didn't.
He did.
It was actually
Worldwide.
No. Do you know what it was? It was 700 billion, and that is spelled BULLLLLIONNN. Fat 700 billion. I should go back to bed. Thanks.
That'd be gal out. So, EMA's great success. Glasgow, yet again, excelling at hosting a...
Leading the world.
Yes. I have been Chris Boud. I'm at the Chris Boud on Twitter. You can follow 90 Minute Cynic at 90MinuteCynic. You can read all the articles we referred to earlier at 90MinuteCynic.com. Thank you, Chris Sermanni.
Thank you for having me on probably the worst podcast we've ever done.
I would agree with that. I am in agreement.
What a link. Genius.
Thank you. Bryan McManus, thank you.
Thanks very much. I'm totally confused as to what we spoke about all night, but yeah.
Yep.
Football
and
stuff.
You can follow Bryan at Bryan McManus or something like that.
Aye, nice and simple. Aye.
There we go. And at the Gallatron for the guest tonight, Chris Gallagher.
Thank you.
We'll see you down.
I love Taylor Swift.
And do you want to finish us off with your little catchphrase that you like and no one else does?
No.
So Chris says we'll see you down the road. Thanks very much for listening. Take care.